And good afternoon, everyone. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor. My name is Jim, and this is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. This is a directed network, and I am net control. If at any time during this net, should an emergency arise, please notify net control. We will stand by and allow those in need to access this frequency. Is there any priority or emergency traffic at this time? And hearing nothing, we will continue. This net is all about ham radio. If you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We're recording now live till 5, and then we'll post it up on YouTube so you can come by later and do a call letter search for KC9VKV. That's Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page, where we're now featuring about 1,140 recorded QSO-VLOG air checks. Also this afternoon, we're running 4 Internet SDR receivers, monitoring Rochester, New York, Milford, Pennsylvania, Atlanta, Georgia, and Arlington, Virginia, trying to get a better copy on our 100-watt friends. Now, the audio from these 4 SDR receivers comes up on a 6-position rotary selector. Also on this selector is our local receiver audio. And today, our local receiver is running 2 large 10-foot vertical magnetic loop antennas, one aimed north and south, the other east and west. The north and south mag loop can be rotated. They are selected by a 3-position rotary selector. Position 3 of this selector is a cophase option that many times is 3 to 4 dB hotter than mag loop 1 or 2 by themselves. We do use a lot of rotary selectors in our shack, mainly because there's nothing faster than a rotary switch for comparing multiple signals. Also today, we'll be running our input source indicator. So when we switch from an Internet SDR receiver to our local 990 receiver, you'll be able to hear the switch and see the switch. You'll have to check it out on our YouTube QSO-VLOG video. Well, those are our working conditions. How about yours? This is the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. And now let's check in and see if Charlie, K1GZL, is on frequency to bring us up to date on the latest 40-meter band propagation. Charlie's QTH is up north in northern New Hampshire, near the Canadian border. Charlie, got a copy?
Got a copy? Yes, Jim, I do. There's an awful lot of Queen Roger Nancy static, but I am copying you, Jim. But more than that, the band is loaded with static, really loaded. Do you copy? Go ahead.
Yes, sir. You're doing about 12 to 15 over on the Rochester, New York SDR, Roger.
New York SDR, Roger. Okay, K1GZL returning. I did have a nice chat with Ian this morning, VK3MO, and I asked him the question about the COVID-19 virus, how it's affecting his country, and here are just these brief comments from this morning.
I think we're seeing treated like idiots. We're waiting down to anyway, yeah, well, we're moving into winter, but I've seen so many expert opinions that it's almost gone, and then we're going to have a research, and we're not going to have a research, and really we'll find out after it's happened. It's a bit like radio propagation. We really don't know what it's going to be like because we don't have enough information.
Okay, and that was that. In other words, they're not too sure yet on what's happening. I guess it varies from place to place down under Jim. KC9VK. Oh, by the way, 2 days ago on the 27th of May, we had the almost a record hottest temperature I've ever seen here. It hit 90 degrees up here, 90 degrees. And 90 degrees, and that's about 15 or 18 years ago, we hit 90 degrees twice one July, and yet we had 90 degrees on the 27th. Unbelievable. And right now it's 81 degrees out. It's trying to cloud up. I think we have our showers coming in the next few hours. And it looks like we got much cooler air coming in early next week. KC9VKV, K1GZL.
Roger, Charlie. Well, 90 degrees, boy, that's something else for your location. Usually you guys are socked in at minus 40 degrees and 7 feet of snow, but things may be looking up. Maybe it'll be maybe 5 years the next time it gets to be 90 degrees on this date. Roger?
On this date, Roger?
Roger, well, that's the earliest I've ever seen at 90. Those other 2 times were in July. And here it is in the end of May, and back on the 12th of May here, we had our last snow. That was only 6/10 of an inch, and we had 10 inches of snow in of May, and the leaves are about a third to half out, more toward a third higher up on the property, up at 2,300 feet, and a third to half out just below me here, below the 2,000-foot level. Go ahead, but boy, it's humid today. But when we had the 90, there was no humidity, and there was some wind. Go ahead.
Roger, Charlie. Now, do you have property that has higher altitudes than where you are?
Higher altitudes than where you are?
No, it's just my one property here. I'm on 8.4 acres. And the average incline is about 25 degrees uphill, going from west to east and northeast. When you go east and northeast of here, the land comes up behind me. That's why I have a very bad location to work short path into Europe, or down toward the west and southwest with wet clay, which isn't wet right now. It's a good location, but it's 8.4 acres, and the top of my property is just at about 2,300 feet, and I'm at 2,030. Correct?
Oh, Roger that. Well, Charlie, what's good for the geese is good for the gander. Your friend is making a good trip with that double rhombic antenna. Have you ever thought about maybe doing a double rhombic antenna?
Well, that takes a tremendous amount of room. Oh my gosh, that takes, in Ian's case, with the 2 rhombics, one on top of the other, he has over 4,000 feet of wire in it, and the length of it, the only way, we tried it once. I had somebody visiting me one time, and we did build a rhombic, and we fired it uphill somewhat, up at 30 degrees. We got it to resonate nice and all sorts of things, but I had a dipole up on this was on 20 meters. I had a dipole up on a pole that did just as well as the rhombic, because the rhombic is designed for low angle of radiation, and with the hill behind me, it just didn't work. And if I had reversed it, I'd be firing downhill and blowing myself out of my shack. Go ahead.
Oh, Roger that. Well, the best thing is, though, to be able to have that A-B comparison. That A-B comparisons tell a world of difference between, the one thing and the other. That's the beautiful thing about A-B switches.
Oh, yeah, a coaxial switch here is a wonderful thing. I use that all the time. I use that all the time, and without that, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing, if I've gained or lost. But they're very, very important to have a way to measure the outgoing, the comparison signal. Even though what you're listening to is not on the band you're operating on, but if you can gain over what you had, over what you're receiving on the reference antenna, then that's a plus. That way you can go, as you do yourself on your SDR, you go back and forth until you find the best place. Go ahead.
Oh, roger that. And I do that also somewhat on receive, on the frequency that I'm receiving. I do have three different receive antenna options. I have those north and south mag loop, the east and west mag loop, and my dipole antenna. So I have three choices on local antennas that I can kind of jump around and see what's best and what's not. Of course, I do not use my mag loops for transmit. They're only receive only. I'm just using my dipole in the transmit mode. Roger.
Roger on that. Whatever works, use, of course. Whatever works, use. E was good comp, although we had a lot of sporadic E, short, stiff. When that happens, my quad does not work as well. It does not. I get down there, but it doesn't work as well. When there's no sporadic E, if it's just F layer, and there's no sporadic E down in Australia or in the South Pacific, then I do far better than I do when there's short skip. The quad here has a very low angle shooting off the mountain here, very low angle, and when you get sporadic E, you get going through that sporadic E layer only halfway up, average of halfway up to the F layer. It gets absorbed. It gets absolutely, a lot of it, not all of it, of course, but a lot of it gets absorbed and doesn't get to the F layer, so I have to wait until there's no sporadic E, and then I can get away with it. Well, Jim, look, the med stations are probably trying to work you there, so I'll sign with you on this one. Hopefully catch you next Friday, and early next week we are expecting much cooler air. On Monday, we may not get too much above 50 to 55 degrees. 50 to 55 degrees, and the valley locations with light winds and clear skies. On Sunday night and Monday night, there will be fog. There will be scattered fog. Now, that's a change, isn't it? So, Jim, a pleasure as always, and we hope to catch you next week. Of course, I'm on somewhat reduced power up here, my SWR. I don't have an antenna tuner, as you know. My SWR is not very good up here on 7188. KC9VKV, K1G10L, your audio sounds perfect. Very excellent.
Thank you, Charlie. I wish I just had a little bit better signal up there, but we all are victims of Mother Nature's designs, so we just have to accept what conditions she puts on our propagation and say, okay, close enough. Charlie, three's up that way, sir. Thanks for checking in, as always, and we'll see you next Friday, hopefully. This is KC9VKV, and my name is Jim. Sometimes better known in some circles as Dr. VKV. And we are recording now live till 5, so if you have a radio you want to check out, give us a shout. We'll post this recording up on YouTube in the next couple of days. So when you go to YouTube, just do a call letter search for KC9VKV, that's Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, and that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, you'll be looking for one QSO-VLOG entitled My Group Aircheck 5/29/20. My Group Aircheck 5/29/20, which is today's date. So this is a KC9VKV listening. Okay, I heard a couple of stations back in there, but very, very low signals. So I'm going to try it again, and the loudest one, come back and try it. I copied somebody Kilo Oscar 4. The Kilo Oscar 4 station, come back with your call sign slowly, phonetically.
Kilo Oscar 4, Bravo, Victor, Bravo.
Copy Kilo Oscar 4, Bravo, Victor, Bravo. Is that a Roger? Okay, sir. What is the name there, please?
Name is Tony, Tango, Oscar, November, Yankee.
Roger, Tony. Well, gosh, Mother Nature is kind of in spurts. She's up and down. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your antenna system for 10 seconds or so, and I'll look around and see if I can find a better path. Roger?
Roger, Roger. I'm running a Icon straight out of the box, 100 watts, and I am running a multi-band fan dipole, homebrew. It's up about 40.
Roger that. And did you say what radio were you running?
Icon 7300.
Okay, sir. Yes, sounding good as best as you can under the circumstances. What's your location? I didn't catch that.
Roger, Roger. Location is about 50 miles west of Atlanta, Georgia. Right straight out I-20. Like just about Rock.
Roger, Roger. I just was trying to copy the mail on the Georgia SDR, and there must be an 18-wheeler parked there next to that antenna, because I am getting quite a bit of sounds like motor impulse noise, and it's pretty severe. So I'm not. I have to write the Georgia SDR off at the moment there, Roger.
Roger, 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 Roger. What's your QTH, Roger?
Tony, I'm up around Louisville. I'm just on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, right at Louisville, Roger.
Roger, Roger. Yeah, been up that way before. Been up that way. And, yeah, I heard you in there, and I just thought I'd let you hear the radio and see what you thought about it. I'm running a Howe Pro 7 boom mic, and got my compression set to 3. And mic gain is up to it's running about 40 right now, Roger.
Roger, how's your ALC looking?
ALC is mid to almost full, Roger.
Roger, Roger. Now, what you might want to do on that headset boom mic is take it straight out as far as it will go, and then at the last minute do your 90. Towards your voice, but you take it out just as far as it will go, straight as far as it'll go, and then bend for that 90. Roger.
Roger, Roger.
Okay, and you might, after you do that, then you might recheck your ALC to be sure that you're still in the ballpark mid-scale to 2/3, because as you work further from the mic, your audio level drops a little bit, so you might want to check that. And the reason that I'm telling you to work that mic a little bit further is I can still hear a lot of transient voice stuff in there, and we want to try to get rid of that. I'm assuming that you are running a foam windscreen on your headset mic. Is that a Roger?
Yes, that's a Roger, Roger.
Okay, what you might want to do, well, let me hear you again. Tell me something about the 7300 that you like the best.
I love the filters that it has available to you to, try to filter out some of this noise. I've been playing with that in the last few days and learning a little bit about it. I tell you what, there's probably a year's worth of study that I could do on this radio itself. There's so many whistles and bells and whistles in it, Roger.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Well, let me give you some advice there. What I found on that 7300 to run it in the filter 1 position. Filter 1 is as close to not having a filter as possible. It's as wide a band that you're going to get. So I ran in filter 1 position. I did not use noise reduction. I did not use noise blank. A noise blank sometimes can introduce distortion into the received signal, so I didn't use noise blank. I luckily have to, and noise reduction seemed to put a little bit of echo reverb on the guy's audio coming in, so I didn't use that either. But in that filter 1 position, you'll find that receiver is capable, if somebody's transmitting down to 100 cycles in their audio, you'll hear it on the 7300, that far down. Now, maybe you might not hear it exactly inside the radio. What I suggest is that you maybe get that audio outside of that little box and get yourself a speaker system. I can think, I've mentioned before about Walmart. And there's a 2.1 system, and I forget what it is now. LabTech, I think it is, or gosh, hang on just a minute. I can't see what it is, but it's like $32 or something. It gives you 2 satellite speakers plus a subwoofer, and the subwoofer allows you to hear frequencies down around 50 cycles, and those are just beautiful when somebody's transmitting that, because it's just so nice and firm. It's like broadcast 101, Roger.
Well, what kind of signal am I pushing your way today?
Okay, I'm copying you on my local antenna, and you're giving me about 7 over. You're giving me anywhere from 10 over to 7 over on my local antenna. I went around, and I don't have very good copies on my SDRs, so I am on my local antenna. Roger?
Roger. You're really got good signal in here in Georgia. You're probably 10 over here, Roger.
Roger that. And I think your audio curve is pretty close. I would like to hear you a little bit better than what I'm hearing you to really make comments about the audio. You have to hear that a little cleaner. I am looking at my spectrum analyzer, but when you get down into the noise, the spectrum analyzer, is just showing you all that's there. So in many cases, when you're at only a couple of dB above a noise level, you may be looking more at the channel noise than the actual audio modulation noise, Roger, or sound.
Roger that, yeah. The band is so noisy and days, maybe even a week or two, that it's really hard to pull out these weak stations, Robert.
Oh, that's a Roger. Now, also, Tony, I suggest that you run that radio in the 100 to 2900 mode. It has 3 modes, and there's no reason I can think of that you would want to compromise your bandpass, other than just running it at 100 to 2900. Matter of fact, I suggest that you take all 3 of the possibilities and crank in 100 to 2900 on all 3, so you can't possibly run that radio in any other mode. But then what happens is that, say you wanted to work DX, well, if you start reducing the bandpass thinking you're going to get in there better, what happens is that you start taking the top end off of your transmit, and that's vitally important, because in that area is your articulation. So that means that when you start rolling off that top end, by restricting your bandpass, you're restricting your top end audio, and there goes all the articulation that will help you be, to tell what you're saying when you're in massive noise, Roger. That's a Roger. That's a Roger. Yeah, I would set all three to that, and that way you can't run the radio any other way than that way. I have never seen an actual advantage of running it at less than full tilt as far as the bandpass is concerned. And like I say, if you get to the point and you get some outside monitors where you can really start to hear what's going on as far as what people are transmitting, it's just it just will blow your mind, because you just can't get that sound reproduction inside the 7300. No fault of their own. It's just a matter of fact. There's not enough cubes in that 7300 box to really get down to those lower frequencies. So you got to get that sound out of the 7300 into a nice full range speaker system. Roger.
Roger. Well, I set all three of those to 100 to 2900.
Roger. Now, I just caught your audio pretty much in the clear that time. Looked pretty good. You are running the compressor at a 3, and your ALC is mid-scale to 2/3. Out of Roger?
Roger.
All righty. I think you got it there. I think you got it. The rest is up to Mother Nature and giving you some good propagation. Roger?
Roger. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that when we get some really good propagation. I talked to New Zealand probably about 3-4 days ago, about 11:30 at night, and on 20 meters. And I was just
Roger, Tony. Well, I think you just faded out there. I think Mother Nature took her revenge. I did lose you there, so I'm assuming that you did fade out. Hopefully, I'm still making the trip to you there, and if so, let me say threes to you. I appreciate you checking in, Roger.
Roger. Thanks for helping me out there. I will listen in, and I'll take a listen to that recording and see what it sounds like. I appreciate you doing that, and I will check back in on next Friday. KO4, BBB, we're going to be clear.
Roger, Tony. 3's that way, sir. Catch you later. And I'm just trying to bring my Milford PA back on. It had kicked me off after 20 minutes of inattention, and now it will kick me off after a half hour for too much. But anyway, this is KC9VKV listening.
Kilo Echo 4, Whiskey Foxtrot Kilo.
The Kilo Echo 4 station, come back again with your call sign slowly, phonetically. Kilo Echo 4 station, come back with your call sign slowly, phonetically.
Roger, Kilo Echo 4, Whiskey Foxtrot Kilo.
Roger, and what's the name there, sir?
Name's John, Juliet Oscar Hotel, November.
Okay, John, gosh, sounding really good there. What's your location?
I'm over here on the eastern side of Ohio, a little town called Wintersville, Ohio there, Roger.
Alrighty, and what's the radio you're running, sir?
I'm running an IC718,
Roger that. Now you're, and what mic are you running there?
Standard stock.
Roger. Sounds like it might be just a little shallow on the bottom end. It sounds like it might be in the attack mode. If you know where your EQ is, I would try to crank in a little bit, a couple of clicks more on the bottom end, Roger, so it wouldn't sound quite so upper mids.
Roger. This thing don't have very many controls on it. It's just that basic radio. It's basically just that, it's just a basic radio there. Not very many controls for audio.
Roger, boy, they're having a heck of a lightning storm in Milford, Pennsylvania, or in that area. Did you say you do not have EQ, or you do have?
Not have EQ, or you do have? I do not
I do not have anything special on this radio that would do. It's automatically already made inside the radio.
Alrighty, sir. Well, it's it's very legible. Like I say, it just does not have a lot of bottom end, but it is very legible. So it's not something that you're going to be having a problem with as far as folks understanding what you're saying, Roger.
Roger. Roger. How's my signal, though? How's my signal?
Okay, I'm copying you 10 over on the Milford PA SDR. I would suggest that, what we suggest is running a 3 on the compressor. Engage the compressor, run it at about a 3. It's just a token amount, but it does exactly what you need it to do. And then after you get your compressor in line at a 3, go to your ALC and check your ALC level, and you want to be running a mid-scale to 2/3 on your ALC, Roger.
On your ALC, Roger. Roger. I'll look at my ALC right now. It's just a switch of a button here. Roger. Yeah, it does show I'm running a tad bit high, but I got the compressor on. Okay, now I'm not running so high, and it's running right about 3/4 way up the ALC scale.
Roger. Now that your dynamic range is about 3 dB is exactly where you want to be. You were getting a little peak distortion the other way, so now you're nice and clean and very full, Roger.
Roger. Hey, can you do me a favor while you're doing that? Can I switch to another channel, another antenna to see if there's any difference in my audio or anything like that?
Sure. Hopefully, like you have an A/B switch and you can just do it immediately. That's the thing about an A/B comparison. You need to make that transition very quickly so you can see exactly the difference. If you wait maybe even 10 seconds, you're catching a different ride, Roger.
Roger. I'm on antenna number 2 right now. I'm on antenna number 2. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is antenna number 2.
Okay, I'm on Milford, PA, and like I say, they're having a heck of a lightning storm up in that area. Let me look around and see if I can find a better path. Why don't you tell me the difference between those two antennas, and we'll compare them again if I can find a better path.
One's a ground-mounted is one of those alpha NVIS type antennas there, Roger.
Yes, sir. Now I have, I'm on my local antenna, copying you fairly well. So why don't you give me like a 5 or 10 count, and at 5 switch antennas. Give me a 5 count on one antenna, and then all you have to do is, you don't have to even stop transmitting. You just don't talk as you switch, and switch at 5 to going to 6, and let me hear what happens.
Roger. Okay, we'll start out with antenna number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay, there's about 10 dB difference, a major difference. Antenna 1, to me, is very nice. And then when you switched, I'm looking at your audio on a VU meter, and it's calibrated on 0 peaks. And so when you stopped, when you went to antenna 2, your level dropped 10 dB, and you were just barely at the bottom end of the VU meter. Roger?
Roger. So that means my ground mount antenna is a lot better than the other one, man. I prefer using my ground mount, but I've been using it secondary one that that we tested out too as a listening antenna, so I could use it to phase out noise with my signal enhancer.
Roger. Now you're back on antenna 1, Roger?
Yeah, I'm on the ground-mounted vertical right now.
I want you to do that same test again, and let's see if we had a fluke or that's really what happens. Same test again.
Okay, roger, roger. I'm on the first ground. I'm on the ground mounted vertical, so we'll start the count off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Roger, roger, John. Well, when you switched to that number 2 antenna, you just disappeared. It was like you were not hardly there. So that number 1 antenna is the one, Roger. At least to me, you know. Maybe it was different somewhere else, but to me, it just made all the difference in the world.
Hey, roger, roger. Okay. Yeah, I like that ground-mounted vertical. So I will use that other antenna, like I said, to use basically for a signal, you know, another antenna to split off the signal so I can noise cancel a lot of the noise on my hearing. But I would like to know if the antenna works for a secondary antenna, and it don't.
Yeah, John, I wouldn't even consider it a second or backup antenna. It's just, you know, not very good. 10 dB is, you know, there could be something wrong with it. You know, you might check your SWR on that antenna for sure. Your number 1 antenna, I think, is right on, but that number 2, I would double check the SWR. Roger?
Roger, roger. I did. I put my VNA on that today and checked it out as it stands, and it's got pretty decent SWR on it. But it's one of those antennas that's got one of them 9-to-1 balance on it, and hardly any ground at all to it there, Roger.
Roger. Well, as far as radiating, it is not doing too good a job compared to your number 1 antenna. 10 dB difference is a very large signal difference, Roger.
All right then. Okay, I appreciate you coming back to me on that. At least I know the truth and everything now, and I appreciate what you did for me.
Roger, roger, John. Thanks for dropping by, sir. You have a great afternoon, beautiful weekend, and we'll say threes to you. And if you get a chance, join us next Friday. We'd love to have you. This is KC9VKV, the QSO-VLOG net for Friday afternoon. If you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout. Well, there was about 4 stations in there, and a really good station there up on the Milford SDR. But like I say, they must be having a lightning storm right over Milford, because it's just tremendous impulse noises there. And I hope everybody survives up in Milford, because I wouldn't want to be there right at the moment. It's pretty heavy. Matter of fact, I guess if you're an amateur radio operator in the Milford area, you probably have your antenna disconnected and you're hiding underneath your bed somewhere. That's a pretty bad situation. This is, at least it sounds that way to me, listening to the Milford SDR. Anyway, this is KC9VKV, strongest station. Come and try it again.
Alpha Charlie 9, Delta Charlie.
Was that Delta Charlie 9?
Alpha Charlie 9, Alpha Charlie 9, Delta Charlie.
Alpha Charlie 9, Delta Charlie, Roger.
That's a Roger, Roger.
Roger, and what's the name there, sir?
The name here is Mike. I'm in Green Bay, Wisconsin, over.
Roger, Mike in Wisconsin. And what radio are you running, sir?
I'm running Kenwood 830, over.
Kenwood 830, is that a Roger?
That's a Roger, Roger.
All right, Mike, why don't you give me about 10 seconds and describe your antenna system, and let me look around and see if I can find a better path.
You're Roger that. It's called a WHAS coil.
Roger, Mike. Well, I do not have a better path. Milford is my pass. It's a perfect pass, but unfortunately it's being bombarded by, what was it, Zeus? Yes, Zeus is throwing those lightning bolts around in Milford, PA, and it's just unusable. I mean, the audio that I heard was great, but it just was getting killed by lightning hits. So let's see what we can do here. You're running that 830. What's the best thing you like about your radio, sir?
Okay, Roger. I'm running 100 watts. MC50 microphone, over.
Roger that. Roger that. Well, I had to go to Milford to be able to copy you. I have another SDR down. I have my Georgia SDR is down also, and so I'm kind of limited now. For all practical purposes, I only have 2 SDRs, and they're not helping. So I'm going to try to bring my Georgia SDR back up, and we'll just see what's going on there, and hopefully I'll have a perfect copy. He said. So John, come back and or Mike, I'm sorry, come back and let me hear you again, sir.
Let me hear you again, sir.
To get your name and your I got your name, Kilo Charlie 9. Victor, is it Victor Charlie Victor, or is it Victor Kilo Victor, over?
Mike, it's Victor Kilo Victor. Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor. Roger.
Victor, Roger.
Okay, Roger on the Victor Kilo Victor. Roger on the Victor Kilo Victor. Yeah, my name is Mike. I bring the listening. You did report that my audio is fine.
Well, Mike, it's hard to tell, buddy, because I do not have that good a copy on you, and unfortunately, Milford is in the midst of seems to be in the midst of a lightning storm, so I just don't have that good a copy. If Milford were clean, I could tell you in a second what your audio was, Roger.
What your audio was, Roger.
Okay, Roger that. So get your name and I'm getting S9 copy of you, and you do go down a little bit, but you come back up when you come to S9. So what was the name there again, over?
Roger, your name is Jim, Juliet India Mike. Juliet India Mike, and this again, the call is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor. Sorry, I wish we had better conditions. I'd love to be able to, see what your audio was doing and be able to advise you that yay, it's perfect, or it might need a little more top and bottom end, but it's just too darn noisy in Milford right now to tell what's going on. Roger.
To tell what's going on, Roger.
Okay, Roger that, Jim. Roger that. I'll give you 73 then, Jim. 73, thank you for the radio report. You're sounding good here in Green Bay, so I'll give you 73, and I thank you again for the radio report. Stay healthy, Jim, you and your family. 9 Victor Kilo, Alpha Charlie 9, Delta Charlie, all over.
Roger, Mike, you look to be giving Milford a 10 over. He did have a really nice signal in Milford, but they are experiencing quite a bit of lightning, so it's just impulse noise just kills the signal, how that goes. So we'll say 3s, and if you get a chance to drop back by next Friday, we'll probably hopefully have better conditions prevailing, and then we'll be able to get down to the audio curve and see what we got there and what we need to do, maybe. So 3 is for now, and we'll catch you later. This is KC9VKV, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG net. If you have a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
Give me a shout.
Echo Oscar.
Echo Oscar station. come back with the call sign again slowly phonetically.
Yeah, this is Kilo Charlie 6, Bravo Echo Oscar, stroke 4, name here is Eric.
Roger, copies. Your call is Kilo Charlie 6, Bravo Echo Oscar, Roger?
QSO.
Roger, and what's your name, please?
Name here is Eric, Echo Romeo India Charlie.
One more time slowly phonetically.
Eric, Echo Romeo India Charlie.
Oh gosh, your signal is kind of buffeting. I hear Harris, but I think you start with an echo something.
Yeah, there's a lot of QSB. I'm getting you from an F5 to 10 over, depending on the conditions.
Roger, and what's the location, sir? Yeah, where are you located, sir? Well, I guess we have lost Kilo Charlie 6 Bravo Echo Oscar. Are you still there, sir?
Yeah, there's a lot of QSB.
Roger, yeah, I'm only copying you on my local antenna and then only about 2 dB above my noise. So let me say 3. So thanks for the shot. And maybe, next Friday afternoon, if you're around, remember us and come back and give us a shot. Roger.
All right, sounds good. Hopefully next week we'll have some better conditions. 7-3, KC9VKV.
Well, now that transmission, you made it. You were at least 6 or 7 dB over my local noise level, so you were doing a great job. If you got just a moment, let's hang out just for a second and see if this gets better or worse. Roger?
Roger, yeah, you picked up a little bit better on that one. You were a solid 9 on there.
Yeah, what is your location, sir?
Just 36 miles northeast of Atlanta, Georgia.
Roger, down in Georgia. And what's the name, please?
It is Eric, Echo Romeo India Charlie.
All right, now I got it. I just didn't have that good a copy on you before, sir. Sorry. The name here is Jim, Juliet India Mike. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG net. We are located just across the Ohio River from Louisville, Kentucky. Roger?
Roger. Yes, I've heard you out here before and was curious. I did some mic changes on this Icom 7300 and wondering how it's sounding. I've listened on another receiver locally, through a dummy load and all that, but that's not quite the same as getting off the ionosphere, coming back down to somebody else.
Roger, Eric. I would crank in about 3 dB top NDQ. I would crank in about 3 dB top NDQ. If you could do that, I'll let you know what it sounds like.
All right. Here we go. Added a little bit more confidence to that.
Eric, Mother Nature has done one of her things. We'll just see if this is a temporary setback or a calamity. It's hard to tell about Mother Nature. Gosh, I wish she would straighten up and just give me 30 overs. That's all I want. Nothing major, just 30 overs. Eric, come back and try it again. Let's see where we are.
Yeah, 30 overs would be nice. I'd settle for a consistent S9 at this point. The QSB today is just outrageous, but I did pop in a little bit more highs in there, so hopefully the band opened up and you can get a better copy on this.
Yes, sir, I did. And it's like walking through the door. That additional top end EQ just really makes it a very nice articulated audio. Now, the other question is, you have your compressor running at about a 3. Compressor at about a 3, Roger?
You know, right now I am not running any compression. I can go ahead and flip that on. That's with compression running at a 3 right now.
Roger. Now what we're looking for is just a 3. Just a 3 on the compressor. It's a very token amount, but it does precisely what it needs to do. And more than 3 and you start to hear it, less than 3, and you're not really getting that fatness that you need out of it. So a 3 is ideal on the compressor. And once you have your compressor at a 3, then move to your ALC with the mic gain in hand and adjust your ALC to where it's running mid-scale to 2/3. Adjust your ALC. Once you have your compressor in line at a 3, adjust your ALC to where it runs mid-scale to 2/3 by way of your mic gain control. Roger?
Roger. Yeah, let's see, turn that down a bit. There's 2/3 with the compression on.
Okay, so you're on the 7300, Roger?
QSO.
All right, tell me about your antenna system. Give me about 10 seconds on your antenna system.
Yeah, we're running a 80-meter end-fed half wave that we've got up in a upside-down U configuration at about 30 feet above the ground, with both ends dangling about 10 feet above the ground, in one of these fine homeowner association situations.
Roger, Eric. Well, you started that last transmission at about a 10 to 12 over, so the audio was well in the clear, and I think you'll love it. I think you will love it. You're running 3 dB dynamic range, which is exactly where you want to be, which means that your average percent of peak modulation is between 80 and 85%. Again, exactly where you want to be. Roger?
Roger. Definitely appreciate that. Hope this setup sounds a little bit better than the hand mic, even though the hand mic on this radio wasn't too bad.
The hand mic on that radio is excellent. Changing that hand mic to a desk mic to equal the hand mic cost you about $250, Roger?
Well, you know, luckily I had that $250 worth of equipment already sitting around. Just had to do some resoldering of connectors to get it wired up to this radio.
Roger that, Eric. Yes, that hand mic is just outstanding. The only thing that you have to be careful about when you work that stock 7300 hand mic is that you want to pull it to your lips and talk across it. You don't want to talk directly into it. Just pull it to your lips and talk across it. Roger?
Oh yeah, you get a lot of hissing sounds if you talk directly. Put a good windscreen in front of that mic. I just like to have the boom and have my hands free. That's my main reason for getting rid of the hand mic. It did sound phenomenal though.
Roger. Well, you're sounding phenomenal now. So if you want to hear your audio, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. Right now we're running about 1,140 some odd recorded QSOs, but you'll be looking for one in particular, and it's called My Group Aircheck 52920. My Group Aircheck 52920. Roger?
Roger, Jim. Yeah, I definitely appreciate that. It'd be great to be able to hear what it sounds like on the other side.
Roger. So 3 is that way, sir. And if you get a chance, join us next Friday. We air from 3:30 till 5 and Eastern and record all the time. So I'd love to have you, Roger.
Roger. And I'll probably be doing a little bit more tinkering just because that's what I do, and be interesting to hear the results.
Roger. All right, 3 is Eric, and you have a great afternoon, beautiful weekend. Thanks for dropping by. This is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG net. If you've got a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
K4HTW.
K4HTW. There is K4HTW. And what's the name there, please?
Let's get the call right first, Jim. That's Hotel Echo Whiskey. K4HTW. The name here is Joe. Juliet Oscar Echo over in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Roger, Joe. One more time on the call sign phonetically, slowly, please.
Roger. Kilo 4 Hotel Echo Whiskey.
Hotel Echo Whiskey, Roger.
QSL. And we've spoken before, so it should be in your log there a little bit.
Roger, if I had a log, sir, I would certainly look it up, but I do not. It's all I can do to run 4 internet SDRs and keep some kind of call letter sequence, you know. As far as yesterday, I got no idea.
Well, it's Friday. It's the end of the week. I did a modification on my microphone. I've got a 7300 as well, stock mic, and the EQ is set the way we talked last time. I left it at a high end of a +3 and the bottom end of a +1. But I have since purchased a little sponge mic cover to slip over the microphone, which breaks up all the air pulses, and I think it's doing a good job. I hear everybody telling me so. Anyway, I just wanted to see what your take is on it.
Roger, Joe, it's called a foam windscreen, and I live by those. I have one right now that you're listening to me through. And yes, they do great, just absolutely beautiful. It's amazing. I am actually in mouth contact with the mic right now, and it's busting up all those things other than the words. Roger?
Roger that. I even got one on my little 2-meter rig, and I hear so many people, I can tell they don't have one. It's just pulsing their transmission, and it actually closes down their audio transmission. I get good reports on that one as well. Take a break with it. Just wondered how the audio sounds.
All right, now, Joe, you have a very full frequency response from that microphone. You're down to at least 100 cycles. Yeah, I'm looking at you on my spectrum analyzer. You are down to 100 cycles, and the only thing I caution you about is that Mother Nature from time to time has a way of taking the top end of your audio away through phase cancellation. You know, with propagation, we're bouncing off things up there in the air, and not all of the time we're bouncing off the same thing. Sometimes our signal goes on up a little bit and gets bounced back slightly delayed time-wise, so then you have a cancellation because it's coming down at like 180 degrees out of phase, and it starts with the top end. So when you do have this very broad audio spectrum, if you lose that top end, then you're left with all of this bottom. So just for safety's sake, what I normally recommend is, rolling off just a little bit more than, say, where you are, although it sounds beautiful. I'm just thinking down the road and the possibilities of you losing that top end balance, and all that would be left would be that bottom end. So if there's not quite as much of that bottom end, and I'm probably only talking about a click maybe off the bottom, just to keep it in perspective to the top. Roger?
Okay, I think I know what you mean. I've got a +3 on the top end and a +1 on the bottom end. You're saying go to 0 on the bottom end?
Yeah, I would suggest that. I mean, you could run it the way you are, but I'm just saying that you could run into difficulties if you lost through phase angle cancellation the top end, because then it would just be all of that bottom. So, this way, just look at it as just a little insurance policy of keeping things under control.
Okay, copy that. Roger that. Yeah, I just rolled one more off the bottom, so yeah, we'll leave it set there for a while and see how we do.
I'm not getting any lightning pulses, but I know I can see on the radar there's stuff headed this way. I'll try to keep it away from Kentucky, okay?
Roger. Now, can you happen, just out of curiosity, can you see Milford, Pennsylvania on that radar?
On the radar? I got it on my, I'm listening to it on the radio. I'm listening to it on the computer, rather. Let's see, where's Milford? Pennsylvania, wow. Yeah, oh wow. Yep, they're getting all kinds of, there's a line of storms from Pittsburgh, maybe down Wheeling, West Virginia, all the way up through to the northeast, so they're getting whacked right now.
Roger, I was thinking so because I was catching like 10 dB spikes down there, so I was wondering, you would have just a beautiful signal, and then all of a sudden an impulse would come through and just, take it down to the decks. So that takes a pretty heavy strike to be able to do that, Roger.
Oh, Roger that. Yeah, the East Coast in general. From, I'd say, eastern Ohio straight down to Florida. There's lightning strikes on this radar all over the place. So you're bound to hear some. What do I want to say? The big vertical circle antenna. What do you call that antenna?
I'm sorry, which
antenna are you using right now, Jim?
I was just out of curiosity. I went down to Milford, so I just wanted you to experience what was happening in Milford. So hopefully, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to a QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, you'll be looking for one QSO in particular. It's called My Group Aircheck 5 2920, today's date, My Group Aircheck 5 2920. And so I did run you through Milford there for a little bit, just so you could experience what that lightning storm that you were looking at sounded like, Roger.
Oh, Roger that, yeah. It tends to be heading that way away from you, but curious which antenna you're transmitting on. Is that your circular loop?
No, I only transmit on my dipole. I spent many months checking out the differences between the antennas at 600 miles from here, and invariably the dipole won out over the loops, either the east and west or the north and south, and I ran them both at 100 watts and a kilowatt, and pretty much by and large the dipole won out mostly. So I just, it made a lot of sense just to run the dipole and transmit, and I do have these three other antennas as receive antenna options. Roger?
Oh, roger that. Well, I don't have all those options. I'm actually in a motorhome with a quarter wave vertical, the Eagle 1 vertical, mounted on the rear ladder, anchored to the ladder, which is mounted to the chassis, which is my ground. So, and that's all I've got, but I'm kind of pleased with it. It's towards Chicago, but that would put you right about in the left center, so you're still right off the nose of the motorhome, Roger.
Roger, so you do detect a little directionality off of your radiation pattern, and I guess you can just drive around in a little circle and change that directional capability?
Well, if it were possible, it's a 40-foot motorhome, but if it were possible, yeah, the receive is a little better in one direction than the other, but I think transmitting, I get equal reports from Maine down to Florida and over to Oklahoma and Nebraska and everything in between, so I'm really happy with it.
Roger there. Well, gosh, you sounded good. Now, the last transmission, we did lose a little bit of the top end, so I think that would be an excellent example of what I was talking about earlier, about what happens if you have a very broad frequency response in the microphone, and then Mother Nature does a little cancellation at the top end, and what happens. It didn't get really severe, but it did lose just a little bit of top end. Roger?
Roger that. Understand what you mean. I appreciate that, Jim, and I'll be anxious to hear that on the QSO-VLOG. I did hear another station in there So I'm going to say 7-3 this way, Jim. KC9VKV. This is K4HEW. 7-3s, my friend.
Roger, roger there, sir. You have a real good afternoon, a great weekend at 3s, and if you get a chance, join us next Friday at 3:30 till 5. We record all the time, and we'd love to hear you. This is KC9VKV, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG net. If you got a radio you want to check out, give me a shout.
Okay, you went real quick with that KC9 and go like that. South Hotel Victoria. Name is Dick. 58 in Wildwood, Florida.
Roger, Dick in Florida. Give me your call sign slowly, phonetically again, please.
Whiskey Bravo 2, South Hotel Victoria.
Whiskey Bravo 2, Gulf, HV, Roger?
Roger.
Roger, Dick. And what radio are you running, sir?
I'm running the Flex 6500. The amp is the Expert 2KFA, running low power, 600 watts at the moment. And the antenna is the Mosley Pro 67C3, 3 elements up at 75 feet.
Roger, roger. Well, you know, we're do our thing here from 3:30 till 5, and I'm copying you on my local antenna. If you would tell me just a little bit, maybe 10 seconds or so, about your antenna system, I'll look around and see if I can find a better path. Roger?
Okay, very good. And you,
Roger. Okay, and you can, when we come back, you can...
I did not have your name, so this is how's this enough chatter that you can switch between directional bias beams. Go ahead, wiring antennas.
Roger, Dick. Name here is Jim, Juliet India Mike, and the call is Kilo Charlie 9, Victor Kilo Victor. We are located just across the Ohio River from Louisville, Kentucky. We're on the Indiana side of the Ohio River, right at Louisville. Roger?
Roger. Well, you're about a 5 and 8, 5 and 9 down here at the moment. But a lot of QS vector goes up and down.
Roger, Dick. Well, you know, what we do is, we assist folks with tune-up, and I don't know if you might be interested, but I think I could improve your audio quite a bit, Roger.
Well, I'd be glad for you to try, because I'm not having too good a luck with it.
All right, the first thing we do is engage the compressor at about a 3. Turn your compressor on at about a 3. It's just a token amount, but it does exactly what it wants to do. If you get higher, like a 4 or 5, it starts sucking up the cows in the South 40, which you don't want to do that. And if you get lower than a 3, like a 2, then it's not doing exactly what it needs to do. So we found that a 3 is the ideal setting for that compressor, Roger, about a third of its capabilities.
Well, you've mistaken. That 7300 is a backup radio. I'm on a Flex 6500.
Roger, this is a universal setup. It doesn't matter what the radio is. If you have a compressor, you just set it on a 3, Roger?
There is no 3. It just has normal, DX, and DX plus and off.
Roger, then normal. What we're only looking for is about a third of the capability of the compressor. Roger?
Okay, here's normal capability. That's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so once we engage that compressor at a third of its capabilities, then we move to the ALC. And what we want to do with mic gain in hand is adjust the ALC to where it's running mid-scale to 2/3. Mid-scale to 2/3, speaking naturally, with your mic gain adjusting that ALC for mid-scale to 2/3.
Don't understand. There's no ALC on the phone.
Okay, sir. Good. Well, can't help you.
Okay. I was trying to get that across to you. You're giving me parameters for my 7300.
You do not have a ALC on that radio, Roger?
Roger, on the Flex there is no ALC.
What do you use to set your volume, your mic level control?
The mic gain.
Yes, but what reference do you use to set it?
To where it doesn't splatter on the waterfall.
You have no meter indication of proper operation of modulation level.
Well, I have a level, and it's just about minus 30 on the level, and the compression is, let's see, there's 25, and maybe 10 dB of compression.
Got to be very, very low, slow compression, because I'm looking at your audio and your dynamic range, and if normal speech dynamic range is 10 dB, what we want for radio broadcast is about 3 dB. We want a little fatter signal than just normal, voice dynamic range. So in order to get 3 dB dynamic range, it takes a combination of that slight compression and then the adjustment of your ALC against the limiter to where you fatten that signal up to where your audio is a 3 dB distance. Roger?
Roger. Okay, well, I'm not going to play with this here at the moment, thank you for your help. I appreciate it. Just wanted to comment to the fellow that was in the RV home that had the antenna off the ladder. It goes off diagonally. The biggest signal is off diagonally off the opposite side in front. Drove 18-wheeler with a set of doubles, and whatever direction I was going, it was off the back of the trailer.
Roger, Dick. Well, listen, thanks for dropping by. I appreciate it. Hope you have a very good afternoon and a great weekend, Roger.
Roger, Jim. Thank you for the help. KC9VKV, Whiskey Bravo 2, Golf Hotel, Victoria.
This is KC9VKV, the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG net, about 20 till 5. At 5 o'clock, we do turn into a pumpkin. So if you are looking for an air check for your radio, give me a shout. KC9VKV listening.
Number 4, Hotel India Mike.
Hotel India Mike. Come back with the call sign slowly, phonetically again, please.
Slowly, phonetically again. November 4, Hotel India Mike.
November 4, Hotel India Mike. Roger. Where are you located, sir?
Roger. Where are you located, sir? I'm located in South Carolina, a small town by the name of Pageland.
Roger. South Carolina, is that a Roger?
Roger. South Carolina, is that a Roger? Roger.
All right, well, we have somebody that's just got it tuned up on an active frequency. Somehow it just behooves some folks that they have to tune up only on active frequencies. I'm not exactly sure what the ailment is there. It's got something to do with being a QRMer, I guess. Coming from a long family of QRMers, they just have taught to tune up only on active frequencies. But anyway, the station in South Carolina, what's the name there, please?
Station in South Carolina, what's the name there, please? And that is Joe.
Roger, Joe. And if you would, sir, tell me about your antenna system for about 10 seconds, and let me see if I can find a better path. Roger?
If I can find a better path, Roger. Okay. G5 log.
All right, I'm copying you, I guess, best on my local antenna. It is at least cleanest that way. And and what radio are you running?
I'm running a TNK Corsair, 20 years old.
Roger. Well, all things considered, running pretty good, Roger.
Well, I appreciate that. Kudos.
Roger. So, gosh, tell me the thing you like best about that radio.
Well, I like everything about it. It's given me a good service for 20 years. Not a minute's trouble out of it.
You couldn't hardly ask for better than that, sir. Roger?
Roger. I'm well pleased with it.
Roger. Now, does it have, what does it have? Does it have any onboard EQ? That age, I would think that it might have inboard EQ, does it?
Tell me that again.
Equalization, does it have inboard equalization on that radio? You say, Roger, it does? Kind of faded out just a little bit, Joe. Try it again. It does have inboard EQ? Roger. I would EQ just a little bit more on the top end. I would go for maybe 2 clicks more equalization on the top end to give it just a little bit more articulation. You know, the thing is, when you get down into somebody else's noise level and you get equal to their noise level, you need all the articulation you can get so that they can perceive the words, understand the words that you're saying. Now, if you don't have a very well articulated audio, when you get down into that noise level, they can hear you, but they can't understand you because your words are not articulated. And articulation comes from mainly in the upper registers of the audio spectrum. And that's why I would suggest that maybe you bring up your audio top end EQ about 2 clicks. Roger? Okay, talk to me for a little bit. Tell me about the microphone that you're using.
The microphone that goes with the radio.
Joe, I just need about 10 seconds, sir. I couldn't hardly copy you on my local antenna. I did go to Milford, which they're engaged in a heavy lightning storm apparently at the moment, but I do have a little bit better copy on you on Milford, even though the lightning is tearing your signal up. I can hear it from time to time. So come back again and tell me, what you like about that microphone that you're using.
Well, it's just a straight microphone. I got a processor on it.
You have an outboard processor on the mic, Roger?
Processor on the mic, Roger. On the radio.
Yeah, Roger. Well, I think you're sounding better. I noticed that you're more articulated, so that's going to help you as far as folks being able to discern the words that you're speaking, even when you're in heavy noise. Roger?
Even when you're in heavy noise. Roger? Roger.
All right, Joe. Man, a few words. It helps to be able to hear the radio just a little bit more. Sometimes 10 or 15 seconds of audio does wonders rather than yes and no. Roger?
Rather than yes and no. Roger? Okay, well, I'm a man of few words. I don't have nothing to say.
Roger. Now, see? There you go, man. Joe, you're in the hobby that's all about speaking in words,
Speaking in words, Okay.
I'm kidding with you, Joe. Let me say threes to you, sir. I think you're in good shape now. Like I say, we want to have a signal that does well when we're not only when we're in the clear, but when we're being attacked by everything Mother Nature can throw at us. We want to be sure that they can still understand us when we're talking about how bad Mother Nature is. So let me say threes to you, sir. Have a great afternoon, a great weekend. And if you want to hear your audio, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. We're running about 1,140 some odd recorded QSOs at the moment, but you'll be looking for one in specific called My Group Aircheck 52920. My Group Aircheck 52920, which is today's date. Roger?
Which is today's date, right? Okay. I appreciate the help. Ian George.
Roger, Roger, Joe. 3's that way, sir. Catch you later, and if you get a chance, join us to next Friday, and we'll be glad to have you in and drop in and tell me what you've been up to. This is KC9VKV and the Friday afternoon QSO-VLOG network. We've got 10 till 5. At 5 o'clock, we turn into a pumpkin, so if you want to hear what your radio sounds like, give me a shout.
What your radio sounds like, give me a shout.
Somebody just was there. Station, give me your call sign again, please, sir. That station that just finished just as I was getting to my local antenna. Try your call sign again, slowly, phonetically. It must have been an optical illusion because I didn't hear anybody that time. I thought I heard a really loud station just as I got to my local antenna. See, I have a 6-position rotary switch audio selector. We're running 4 internet SDR receivers plus our own local receiver, and I flip around between the 5 signals and find which one is best at the moment. You know, even though you have a great signal at the moment, it can always vary. So I have 5 capabilities of different solutions to the problem. Hopefully, 1 out of the 5 will be the right antenna at the right place. This is KC9VKV listening. Well, I can barely hear a station on my local antenna, and then when I go around the internet, Milford, PA is taking a terrible hit right now as far as a lightning storm, and Georgia has got a 18-wheeler parked beside the SDR antenna there. So essentially I'm down to 2 of my SDRs, Arlington and Rochester, and I haven't heard anything out of Rochester today, and Arlington is just so-so. So again, I'm on my local antenna, and station come back with the call sign slowly, phonetically. Well, I don't hear anybody. On the local side of our antenna system, I'm running 2 10-foot vertical magnetic loop antennas. You can't hardly get a better antenna than a 10-foot vertical magnetic loop antenna on 40 meters. I have one aimed north and south, the other east and west. They come in on a 3-position switch, and that 3 positions allows me to co-phase those 2 vertical magnetic loop antennas, many times giving me 3 to 4 dB hotter signal than either mag loop 1 or 2 by themselves. Right now, though, I'm not catching anything. This is KC9VKV listening. I do hear a little traffic around Milford, but like I say, the lightning storm is so bad there. I'm getting 10 over hits impulse noise. It's just really unbelievable. I wouldn't want to be there. I think I would be underneath the bed with a pillow over my head. I think I heard a Kilo 2 something, Kilo 2 station come back slowly, phonetically with the call sign.
Kilo 2, Whiskey, Mike. Kilo 2, Whiskey.
I have Kilo 2 Whiskey something Mike. I had crashes each time at that same place. So Kilo 2 Whiskey, what's the letter there after Whiskey?
Papa, Whiskey, Papa Mike, 2 words per minute, Jim.
Whiskey Papa Mike, I got you there. What is the name?
Candle here is Dave, Delta Alpha Victor Echo.
Dave, hey, we're coming up from Braille to about, what do they call when you need glasses? I think I'm at 800s. I'm no longer Braille, but I'm at 800s, Roger.
I'm not sure I'm following that, but I can tell you, you have one beautiful signal coming into the eastern shore of Virginia, 5x9, and of course, absolutely spectacular audio. Over.
Thank you, Dave. Well, about those glasses, like, some folks need 200s, some folks need 300s. Well, just a moment ago, I was, coming out of Braille, but I was running for 800s. So it's getting a little bit better now, and we're talking about copying signal and a metaphor of seeing, about receiving. And I think your signal is coming up, Roger.
Hey, thanks very much. I got a new radio. Thanks very much. Community and pretty and you're I think my over.
Roger there, Dave. Well, you kind of faded out on my local antenna, and I'm fighting my way through Milford. I did copy a little bit. You said new to you. You're talking about a radio or what?
You're talking about a radio or what?
Well, I think Mother Nature just decided to seek revenge. I guess that's what it is. Gosh, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna listen here for just a second or two. If try your call sign again. I'm gonna get me a hit of coffee. This is KC9VKV listening.
Okay, Jim. Thanks. Yeah, we're running about 90 watts on the ICOM 7300. And we've got just a simple 40-meter dipole off of that. And I'm not sure why, but my SWR grid says I'm already putting out 20 watts, which may be why you can't hear me. And maybe I need to fiddle with this radio a little bit. I'm not sure if you heard any of this. Over.
I copied a little bit of that. I moved my vertical magnetic loop just a few degrees and was getting a little bit better copy. So you're running 7300, Roger? It kind of faded out again. I guess Mother Nature is taking her revenge today. I don't know. But I've never actually heard a lightning storm as bad as what's happening in Milford, PA right now. If just out of curiosity, some folks might want to check on radar, Milford, PA, they must be just embattled right now. This is KC9VKV, and Dave, do you still have a copy?
Oh yeah, Jim, copying you.
Okay, Dave, you might have hit your VFO just a little bit. We're on 71880000.
Victor, this is Kilo 2. Disregard.
Roger, I'm all the way up on my audio gain, and you're right at my noise level. So it's not a not a good day on 40 meters, Roger.
Roger. Okay, 7-3, Jim.
Thanks for trying, and maybe next Friday things will simmer down quite a bit, and I'm sure it can't be as bad as it is today. And I feel like I need to pray for Milford, PA, because they're tremendously. Mother Nature Thor is throwing them bolts down there in Milford, PA, and so I'm praying for them that everybody will come out okay, particularly all the amateurs, and I'm sure they have all disconnected their antennas and are hiding underneath the bed with a pillow over their head. Well, I think we are close enough here, just about 5 o'clock, so I think we're going to wrap it up. Today has not been a good day at the ranch. Mother Nature has been very challenging today, and the thing is, you can't hardly argue with Mother Nature. Well, you can, but it doesn't do much good, and she does seek revenge, so you don't want to tick Mother Nature off. So best to acquiesce to whatever she gives you, and just plan on having a better day another day. So this is KC9VKV. Thanks everybody for participating. We will be uploading to YouTube within the next 48 hours. So if you want to hear what your radio sounded like, hopefully through the static burst of Milford. I never realized how much I really depended on Milford, PA. Gosh, and they've been out of commission most of the day. Even though they have been out of condition, I've still been trying to copy the mail through those horrendous lightning hits or strikes or whatever. But anyway, if you participated today and want to hear what your radio sounds like, if you go to YouTube and do a call letter search for Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, that will take you to our QSO-VLOG page. And on that page, we're running about 1,140 recorded QSOs, and you'll be looking for one in particular. It's called My Group Aircheck 52920. My Group Aircheck 52920. So with that, we'll say threes to all, and thanks for dropping by. And we will now be returning this frequency to a normal amateur radio use. This is Kilo Charlie 9 Victor Kilo Victor, clear.